No, it's our pleasure to welcome now John Bradley, Senior Vice President of Economic Development with the Tennessee Valley Authority, and Bill Adams, Senior Program Manager, Industry and Economic Development. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for the time. Absolutely.
Well, it's a big day. This site is beautiful. Joe Max, his team, the supervisors, and you know this, you guys, it's a team effort to make these things, to pull these things off, is it not?
It absolutely is. You know, these things you put together, Joe Max makes it look easy. He always has. But when you put together this kind of property, this order of magnitude of challenge, and put it through the really rigorous testing that it takes to get the property certified, it takes a lot of resources, a lot of talent, a lot of commitment. But it's a beautiful site, and I think it's his best one yet.
Johnny's got a lot of energy. And
energy is not Joe's.
And, you know, it seems like that if you're in business, you get excited being around him. And I think that plays a strong role in his ability to secure these projects.
Joe Max is contagious. Right?
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
There's nobody like him. There never will be anybody like him. But you know, I kind of back to what Bill was saying. I mean, when we started this program back in 2002, I'll tell people one of the smartest things I did was hire Bill Adams, because this was Bill Adams. I call him the godfather of the Megasite program. But look at what's happened. I mean, it changed the landscape, right, of this area. But we hired Bill as a target market specialist to recruit automotive. And Bill comes in my office, is like, hey, Bradley, I'm not going to be successful unless we got product. But I'm not talking about just finding property. I'm talking about doing due diligence. What people don't understand, we brought the consultant in to set the guidelines up, to set the criteria up. The communities did all the work, right? I mean, that's where really, we just were the enabler, really, at the end of the day. But we were able to put something together, and actually by bringing in a consultant, it kept the politics pure. Right. And we were making sure we were focused on good sites. We had a lot of people come up to us like, hey, we got 3,000 acres. I'm like, no, you got a farm. Mm-hmm. You don't have an industrial site.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have things like infrastructure, kind of important, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But it's been an amazingly successful program. But honestly, Bill will tell you, the locals deserve all the credit.
They do.
And I mean, from the utilities that participate in this, I mean, you know, we got our local power company here. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? They pay the bills at the end of the day, so.
Well, it's no doubt it's incredible. Well, I was just talking to Joe Max and remarking that power energy, given kind of the industrial base that's evolving in our country and where all the growth seems to be centered, that's an essential. It's not essential. It's a necessity that is impossible, really, to attract investment without it. Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the challenge we have today in the environment that we're in. You know, the generation demanded requires us to focus on that and get that generation up. It's the same thing with water and sewer. It's the demand's going up. Regulations are getting tighter. So weaving that tapestry of putting the infrastructure together and making sure it's available, not just available, but available when you need it.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the beauty of the program. It focuses not only on making sure the capacity is accessible, it's accessible within a certain timeline. And it's all about removing the risk and the mystery of a site and the utilities and the transportation. That's what companies are looking for. They're looking for you to eliminate their risk so that when they're investing their billions of dollars, they're not at risk of construction slowdowns or stoppages and operational stops.
Yeah. Well, Mississippi, John, has a fairly business-friendly regulatory environment, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and that's why we've been able to do the things we've done. Right? I think it's very friendly. You mentioned earlier we got a great leader in economic development, the governor.
Yep.
He's done some great things. He's allowed us to support them. Allow the communities. I mean, the cool thing about the economic development business, you mentioned it earlier, it's a team sport. And the cool thing is everybody's focused on the same things. It's all about jobs and CapEx. End of the day, right? And it's also about the diversity of the industry that's coming in. But yeah, we've got a very favorable environment here, and that's why the success has happened the way it has. But again, a lot of the effort goes back to this regional group that day in and day out puts the effort in. We cover 7 states.
Yeah.
Right? And all states operate differently, but Mississippi's just done a tremendous job in the Tennessee Valley.
And economic development, it's also very competitive. It's a competitive team sport as well, Bill. But I think Mississippi fares pretty well when they throw their hat in the ring.
They do. Their emphasis on attraction is superb. Mississippi Development Authority does a great job, and they have the right programs in place. But the beauty of what they really do is they do well is preparation. This is all about preparing. And, of course, we have the Certified Megasite program, but we also have a program called Invest Prep, which is very similar to the state site development grant program. And the governor and MDA have done a superb job of putting the resources where they're needed so that communities can advance their property, advance their teams to compete well.
Yeah, I'm going to give Bill a little credit here. He's being a little modest. So what we did, we took that model of the Megasite program and started looking at smaller sites.
Okay.
Right, because what we wanted to do is make sure, hey, we have the suppliers for those big industries that come in. Right, makes sense. I mean, it's your downstream supply network. So, Bill helped or worked with the state to develop their site program as well.
Okay.
So now you've got the state site program, you've got TVA, and we complement each other. We're not overlapping what
Makes
we're
sense.
doing. We're filling gaps they can't fill, and vice versa. Right? We got some environmental restrictions they don't have. We take advantage of that, right? And it's following the rules, but we're making sure we're using the bucks the way it really needs to be used, and quite frankly, leveraging on really what I consider quality sites, and that's why this due diligence is so important.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you get through 12 months, you decide this may not be a good site.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes we're doing a community favor, telling them
That makes sense.
don't waste your money, man.
Yeah.
You got 80% of it underwater. That's not good.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
So
right, yeah.
stuff like
Sure.
that. So yeah.
Sure. Bill, there's no secret, of course, that there's an explosion of artificial intelligence and data center construction across the country, and that is placing enormous demand for electrical power in particular. What do we do about that? Well, how are you guys addressing that? Because everybody's looking to you energy companies is kind of the holy grail in that respect. Our governor, of course, formed the Power Up Mississippi Task Force just to promote and study and analyze and call attention to that need.
Yeah, a lot more strategy now than we used to be. John can speak to it better than I can, actually. Yeah.
But so just to put in things in perspective, okay, it's terms won't make any. I mean, the term won't make sense, but when I start throwing numbers out, it'll make sense. So our system's 34,000 megawatts.
Right.
Currently, we've got 9,000 megawatts of requests for AI data centers alone. All right, think about that. So put that number in perspective. You can't build that quickly.
Right.
But TVA also has $7.5 billion gas bill on the books
Okay.
for the next 3 to 5 years. And by the way, we're even talking about extending some of the coal plants that we were going to shut down earlier because of this boom and because of this demand out there, trying to keep up with that. We're doing things that I would have thought TVA would have never done. Right, and then also partnering with these AI data center, because the only way we're going to get to solutions is with them.
Right.
Because look, they can build faster, they can they can move faster. We're federal regulated, right? We got to follow the process, and we're going to follow that process. They're under different guidelines. They can build plants quicker than we can. They can do things behind the meter we can't do.
Yeah.
So they can help us, because utilities are trying to run people off peak.
Right.
All they're trying to do, and those are hours, not months, right? So what we're trying to do, if we keep them off peak, if they could build something behind the meter, come off peak certain hours, it's a benefit to the system. It actually benefits the system. So ironically, they're going to end up being part of our solution. So we're doing creative things with companies that I never would have thought we'd done. But when you're in a situation when you are short, by the way, not unlike any other utility out there in the country right now, everybody's dealing with the same stuff. If they weren't, they'd already be there, right? These data centers going to go with it, right? I mean, we wouldn't have 7,000 or 9,000 megabytes of requests out there just because, right? They can't find it anywhere else. So we're working together to find solutions. I'm real excited. I've been doing this for 42 years. I've been in the utility business that long. Most dynamic ever, most disruptive ever, and I'll just tell you, the most fun ever.
That's neat. Well, to your point, Microsoft and their partnership with, I can't remember the company, the energy company, but it was to restart 3 Mile Island, essentially,
absolutely.
Constellation Energy, I think is who it was.
Look, these guys have to have, that's their raw material.
Yeah.
Electricity, run.
No doubt.
But Bill mentioned it too,
Yeah.
it's also water.
Yep,
Yeah.
I hear you.
And that's an expensive.
John, Bill, thanks for coming on, and thanks for being a great partner in the state of Mississippi with the Tennessee Valley Authority. Appreciate it, guys.
You
Thanks.
bet. Thanks a lot.
It's been fun. Thank you.
We're stepping aside for a break, coming right back.